Hello and welcome to the show. It's always my favorite when we get started with laughter, especially during these insane times that we're living in. So today I am so happy to bring you my dear friend, Lara. Okay, her name is Laura, and that's how we say it in New York. But I've always called Laura, Lara.
Yes, you have.
So Laura Caulin is here with us. I also only knew her as Lara Mosscrop. And now
Isn't that a mouthful?
isn't it though? It's almost as bad as mine, Feckety, right? And it was Cuthbert. You and I did not do well with the maiden names, but you did better with the married name.
Well, that's what he said. I'm like, should I keep my name? He's like, I think you're trading up, honey.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I guess Mosscrop and Caulin is probably a trade up.
With your TikTok famous husband, who
Yes.
we will discuss later.
Yes.
So just to give some framework to the audience today, Laura is an amazing friend, and I've known her from New York forever. I think 20s, early 20s.
Yeah,
Right?
20 some odd years.
Yeah.
23.
So, and now I live far, far away here in Tampa Bay, and Laura is still in New York, Long Island.
Long Island.
And Laura has just completely done something I probably could have never imagined she'd do. But then when she told me she did it, I was like, of course that's what you did. So Laura created an app.
What?
What? I know, it's so great, called CMeShine. And we're going to let Laura tell you about what CMeShine is. Welcome to the show, Laura. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sharon. It's right back at you. You are amazing. Who would have thought 23-ish years ago where we were, and what you've accomplished is quite remarkable. And I'm very, very proud and impressed with you.
Thank you, my friend.
Welcome.
Back at you.
Yeah.
Tell the audience about you and about this amazing app.
So I'm developing or designing an app. I guess I get the terms mixed up because, you know, I didn't know what I was doing before. So I do have a background in technology, and I had an idea for an app because I couldn't, there were a couple of problems I couldn't solve with being a dance mom with my lovely dancers. And I'm like, there's got to be an app for that. And then I'm like, oh, there's no app for that. So I'm thinking, I'll design an app. I know how to use a computer. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even figure out how to learn how to make an app. So I found this man, Ed Howlett, who's amazing. And he's doing that work for me. But, you know, we're designing this great app together. And so the app it's kind of twofold. So let me start with a dance studio management tool where dance studios can use it to manage their registrations and their class, like rostering and payments and communication with dancers. And then there's also a separate side, which is social media for our young dancers. So I'm thinking kids that are dancing that are in elementary, high school, you know, young kids that are using social media. So those kids will use CMeShine to do social media with grown-ups that love them. Because right now, how do kids get introduced to social media? They hear about it from a friend, and they go on there by themselves, and the parents don't know anything about it, or they know very little about it. And sometimes they, you know, and they can make mistakes, and that's totally understandable. But isn't it nice if they would be able to make mistakes with their parents or have conversations as they're learning how to use social media for the first time? So that's totally where I'm hoping this goes. And which is going to launch. We're getting towards the very end. We're in the beta testing stages right now, so we're getting close.
The beta has been betaing.
Yes.
For quite some time, because who knew it was going to be such a process? But so I want the audience to understand, what was the problem? This is the thing I love most about entrepreneurs, especially when they're women friends of mine. We need more women entrepreneurs, so building out apps, of course. So women in tech, just women in tech. We need so many more women in tech. And you will be that shining example for everybody. So what was the actual problem that you found in the world that you couldn't solve? You said, I need this, like the real,
Well,
like
here's the
people that
funny
don't
thing.
dance.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is it's not worked into the app yet, the actual problem. The actual problem was I was I have two dancers, two girls that dance a lot, and they have a bazillion costumes. And it got to, so we did our recital on a Sunday. The Sunday before recital, finally, last minute Laura, I'm looking through their things. I realize I'm missing a costume. Oh my gosh, I'm missing Jackie's acro costume, and I'm missing her pants for her hip hop costume. And I'm freaking out. And so I'm making all these phone calls. Long story short, it all worked out in the end. But I thought, then I started to get like hyper vigilant about, I started recording, like I made a list before the classes even started, and then I would check them off as they were coming in. And I thought there must be an app for this, and there's no app for that. So that's how it started. But then when I got working with my, with the app designer, and he and I just, it kind of just, took a different route.
Right.
He said, this is what I want you to do. I guess he saw a little potential in what I was talking about the first time I called him. Because actually I called him to see if there was any kind of tool I could use to make this app myself. And then he's like, this is what I want you to do. Make a list of everything that your dream app would do. And then I did that. And then we had a conversation about it. And then he's like, oh my gosh, God has his hand on this because we can do this and we could do that and we could do this and we could do that. And and that's how it blew up into everything except for the costume thing. I probably shouldn't say that out loud because I want it to happen.
I
want somebody else to do it instead because I have a whole idea about that. But yeah.
Who knows? So also, weren't you having some difficulty, like, and I find this a lot with camps, like for Cooper when he was growing up, like I wanted to see what was online, and they didn't have like a schedule, or whatever schedule they put out, it wasn't.
Scheduling.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing.
Me, it was like very antiquated.
Yeah. So that's another thing. And that's one thing that I'm in love with. Our whole calendar is really pretty cool. So we have a calendar feature inside. So if your studio is a part of the CMeShine, uses it as their social media, as their dance studio management tool, then there's a very robust calendar that will have all of your classes on there. It'll have all of your, and then any other extra events they may have, you can sign up for it and pay for it all through the app, and it'll all appear on your calendar. And then also the messaging. So like if you have they shoot out an email, here's your, the costume guide for the, whatever recital. And then a week later, I'm like, oh, I can't find that email. And I'm texting all my friends, who's got the email with the costume guide? And so there's a library in there too, where the, all this stuff will be. So, oh, I can't find the costume guide, I'll go look in the library.
Yeah, I mean, and making it simple. I was never big on using apps until somebody taught me how to use the Starbucks app.
Oh.
And then,
yeah,
I was look, I mean, I used it just this morning, and then especially during this time, you want to have access on your phone because this thing is coming everywhere with us. It's the most important thing we have now, which, I'm kind of ashamed to admit, but I would run back to my house, and if I left my phone, I might leave something else, but if I left my phone, I'd probably run back.
It's true. Everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the kids do. I mean, once a kid gets a phone, for good or bad,
yeah,
you try to limit it. That's, that's what they do. That's how they communicate. That's how,
everything. So let's talk about your purpose. Besides filling a need that was missing, I know that Lara was always dancing.
Yes.
Lara was always going to dance, and she knew everything about dance, and I was just dancing at the club, okay? I was just going to Webster Hall and coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
You're the only person I ever went to Webster Hall with.
And we went to the basement, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And we were one of the only white girls in the basement.
Oh, that's so funny.
Just the way I liked it, because that was
That's
my
great.
kind of music. I was all about hip hop, rap, R&B my whole life. And I could barely get anybody to come to Webster Hall with me. So of course, Lara. I probably had a
I forgot about that, Sharon.
No, what time did we come home?
Oh, who knows?
I know, like I would close that place out. Anyway. Oh, back in the day.
Oh, back
Now
in
I
the
can't
day.
stay up until after 10 o'clock.
My gosh, I know. I know. I know.
So back when we were cool. So you always danced. And
Yes.
and now you are like, married, and you teach teachers technology,
Hmm.
and you've had this whole unbelievable evolution, and it all has come back to dance for you. So what
Funny.
was it about dance that made you fall in love with this and have such a passion?
I just always loved it. I grew up dancing. When I was little, I was a dancer. And then in high school, I got real serious about it. And then I even went to the Long Island School of the Arts for dance. Um, and then it's so funny. I went to Alvin Ailey's for about 15 minutes and I went, oh boy, I better get an education. I was the total big fish, little pond girl, you know what I mean? But then I kept it up in college. I was in the dance ensemble at college. And then when I came home, I kept it as my hobby just because I always loved it. It's even hard, when you're just meant to do something, you know what I mean? It's hard to almost put words to it, which is, what's so amazing about dance. You don't have to put words to it. You know what I mean? You can really just express yourself without the words, and it's funny because I was close to 30 and I'm looking around and my hobby's keeping me with like 16-year-old girls. And I'm like,
Oh, I love
maybe
it.
it's time I take up some yoga or something. You know what I mean? And so I did my last Nutcracker. I think I was 30, maybe 31 when I did that. And then, and then I realized it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. And it's another thing I was talking to about somebody recently is that if after college, if you want to keep dancing for recreational purposes, there's very few things to do unless you're going to go hang out with teenagers. You know what I mean? So there's another niche that should be filled. But
There you go. After this one is done.
What's that?
After this one is done.
After this one is done. So, and then it's funny, after having children, I promised myself I wouldn't live vicariously through my girls. So they tried every single thing when they were babies. I put them in one dance class and it didn't feel right for us yet. And then even Jackie, when she was little, she was in kindergarten, took a class. And then after that class was over, I'm like, was that fun? She's like, yep. I said, you can do it next year? She's like, nope. So she stopped for a little while. And my little one, she cried like the first 2 times. I'm like, I'm not putting my girl crying into a dance class. That's not going to happen. But then they just fell back and, they fell in love with it themselves, So, and I love being a dance mom. I love it. But I still, they're at the phase now where sometimes is it something that they're going to be serious about? Is it something they're not? And I really tell them all the time, this is your thing. You're not going to dance because of me. I have my app. I have friends now who all have their dancers. I can live it other ways because, they still do love it. So we're there. But, I really try very hard not to, like I said, live vicariously through my kids.
Right.
I don't push it on.
No, I think and that's probably why they love it, because it's more their passion versus, mom is forcing me to do something.
Right.
And I agree with you. I mean, I gave up softball after playing with Shannon Foley. and they were good, and
they were hardcore.
Yeah. And once I got, I broke my ankle, and then I got the what was it? The line drive to my lip. I thought, I'm done. And I was in my 30s, and it is kind of amazing what happens when we get older. We want to continue, but it's just like, it's time to shift.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the idea for you for this app because, they in Tampa Bay here, the Tutoro dance, I think is huge. When I ran pediatrics, I mean, it was like everybody was going to dance class after, and then everybody was coming in with all their injuries.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I love that because you have a podcast and you had
Yes.
recently interviewed chiropractors.
Yes, of somebody that I grew up dancing with. Well, we
Yeah.
went to high school. We went to dance together in high school. Doctors Dina and Rick Rosa, and they spoke about that. They have a real holistic approach to how they treat their patients, and we spoke a little bit about, you know, what you need to do to prevent these injuries. It was quite interesting.
It was interesting. I watched the whole thing and I
Yeah.
agreed with all of it. I love the holistic approach to anything.
Yes.
So let me ask you, I know for me, and it's funny that we mentioned Webster Hall.
Mm.
I needed to dance
Mm-hmm.
as a young adult because I've told everybody, you know, I stopped drinking and doing drugs when I was 21 years old, and I certainly wasn't ready to give up my life.
Right.
And I developed this real, like this self-esteem from just going
Mm-hmm.
to New York City, which even, you know, everybody in Tampa Bay, when they hear you from New York, you're either from Brooklyn or Manhattan, or, you know, they don't even know,
Right.
they don't always know Long Island exists right
Right.
away. To go into Manhattan and dance was just like everything to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
it helped me so much with my own mental health and feeling good about myself. And I'm sure that there was a piece of that for you as well. And I'm bringing that up especially now because
Yeah.
of what we're all going through these whatever. Who the hell? I don't even want to put a name on it anymore.
I know.
Whatever time warp we're in, some type of fun and expression to get
Yeah.
out of what's going on is a good thing. Can you speak on that for a minute yourself?
Sure, I can. And you know, I don't know all the science behind it, but you know, we all know that if you're moving your body and the endorphins and, you know, getting all that going is just so good for your body and your soul. And when you add music to it, there's a whole other thing that starts to happen. And it's, you know, you get to just release yourself a little bit and you get to express yourself a little bit. And especially if you're in a big crowd like that too, that's awesome, where there's people around you and you're part of something that's bigger than yourself. And I know we can't do any of that right now, but you know, certainly. And I was thinking of what's it, Grey's Anatomy. Did you ever watch Grey's
Oh
Anatomy?
yeah, when it first came.
How they would dance it out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if things get too much and, you know, just let it all go and just move your body and get it all out. You know what I mean? And I think it's amazing. It's amazing what movement can do. And like I said, and even like yoga, I don't do it enough because I always, you know, I love doing, I always feel good after I do it, but there's something about just moving your body, you know what I mean? And,
Move a muscle, change a thought.
oh, I never heard that one.
I can't take credit. Cynthia, who I'm sure heard it from somebody else, right? But it's true. When I feel bad about maybe what's happening in the world, or I'm either singing or dancing or riding my bike.
Mm-hmm.
But moving is so important. And I think right now, especially for the kiddos, their greatest expression right now, some of it has been through TikTok.
Yeah. Yep.
And social.
It's true.
Right? I mean, aren't they have this great form of expression there. Your husband, of course, is killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen too
true.
many lately, though.
Say it again.
I haven't seen too many lately of Michael.
I know. We were just talking about that the other day. I know he's fallen off the wagon a little bit. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. I don't know what else to do. We'll get there. And it's funny because
drums.
What's that?
You should play drums.
You should play drums. It's true. We'd have to dust them off and they're somewhere in the garage. And it's funny because the ones that do the best for him are the ones where he dances, and those are the most painful for him because he's got to learn it. And he like, even back in the day, he likes to dance. We used to dance all the time, but he never liked like the electric slide or any of those.
Yes, I'm
choreographed things.
I'm right with you, Michael.
He can't do it. He's
doing it
better.
now.
Yeah, he's getting better. He's getting better.
And
But
that's
yeah,
what,
like, and it's funny because that, like you said, that's how kids socialize. So they're not feeling as disconnected, I don't think, as we are, because they're, you know, connecting the way they like to connect anyway. But the interesting thing, and it's so different because there's like the dance studio kind of dancing, and then there's the other stuff. And I just read an interesting article about how a lot of real trained dancers are having trouble with the whole TikTok thing because it's so different than the way they're used to dancing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's interesting. And I had a conversation with my daughter about it. I'm like my 12-year-old, almost 13. And I said, does dance make you feel like you know, don't you love the way you can express yourself in the movement? And she's like, I don't know, not really. She's more like, you know, they give her the steps. She likes to execute the steps. She likes to work hard at doing them. But I think it's different for kids. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then when you get older, though,
yeah.
you know, and this is another thing that I think dance is so amazing for is just, and I'm going to bring it back to the interview you did with Dr. Alex, help me.
Harris. Yes.
Dr. Alex Harris. He was talking about how, you know, when these protests are coming out and people are starting to act out, and he was talking about how people don't have language, relating it to toddlers, how toddlers kind of throw tantrums because they don't have the language, you know, when they're feeling these frustrations. Well, that's what dance can do too. You know what I mean? Like the choreographed dance, where some of the stories that can be told in a choreographed dance, it's like amazing. And if you look at anything Alvin Ailey does, and Alvin Ailey has a Facebook page. Every week they're posting a different piece that they're streaming a different piece, but they're only up for a week. And last week they did one called Greenwood, and I can't remember. It was based on an event that happened a long time ago, where there was a lot of racial inequality, and Blacks were being attacked because they were too successful. And the way they showed this story through this dance, it was like, and this story, I mean, it was choreographed not that long ago, but the story itself, it's like history just repeating itself and repeating itself. But telling getting a whole history lesson without even hearing a word. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just amazing. It's amazing. And that's the thing. Right now, you can find all that stuff online right now. Everybody's putting their stuff online because they can't share it with us in person right now.
Yeah,
So.
it's amazing. And I loved when he made that reference as well, that we have to find forms of expression, and not everybody's form of expression is just a conversation.
Right.
And so much art comes through dance and comes through music. And, you know, like I mentioned to you before we got started today, the whole purpose of doing this show in particular was just to, you know, give out as much as I could about the healers that I know. And I don't see healers just as people that are doctors or chiropractors or massage therapists. I see healers as people that offer a different type of healing. And I think that a lot of people find a lot of healing in dance and in music.
Yeah,
I know that when I have to, Rob makes me every Friday. I haven't been very good at it lately, though, I must admit. He makes me listen to music instead of business podcasts. Because I'm so obsessed. I can be very obsessive about business and learning and educating myself, that I do need to have fun. Yes. And remember that in these times, we also need to dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your app is going to allow so many people to have, I love the fact that, because I know how many people have a problem with their children and social media, and for good reason. You know, it's at this stage, this is how they're growing up. This is, you know, this generation just has it in the playpen, I think, you know, as a form of learning. And we're doing Zoom.
Yeah, especially now.
Now, get it. Yeah. Like, we're not going back, you know, we're just going to stay with technology. Mm-hmm. All of these systems, colleges are going to be disrupted. You know, medicine has been disrupted by telehealth. I'm telewhispering.
That's awesome.
Trying to throw in my new tagline as much as I can. I discovered it over the weekend.
That's funny.
Whispering, yeah.
I
But you
love
know, it really is. It's an art form, and your app is going to help so many people because to be able to have the children discuss and encourage each other about their self-esteem. You and I have had many conversations about this.
Yeah.
It really is so vital that we have children expressing themselves and then their supporters, their friends saying nice things and
Right.
not bully them. It leaves a huge impact on our lives, right?
Yep. That's the hope.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited, and it's probably going to be out in July, but we're not sure. But we want everybody to stay tuned.
August. We're shooting for August-ish now.
Okay,
It just
good.
takes so long.
Oh, don't forget, I want you to talk about your bear behind you.
CMeShine, my See bear.
Aw.
Express your love of dance there.
Look at the wait.
He's kind of like, what's it?
Wait. Bring it to the camera. Look, everybody. It's got an iPhone on the arm. Hello.
You can text.
For all of our people listening to the podcast, you're going to have to come to the video to see the bear.
Yes.
Super adorable. Express your love of dance.
Yep. Little CMeShine on the back.
So
he's our little brand ambassador because he's so cute. And then, you know, we're hoping that he kind of encourages people just to, you know, express your love of dance.
Yes.
In the app.
Oh, look at the little feet. Let me see.
Got a little CMeShine on there too.
God, adorable. Well, I'm super proud of you. And I'm super proud of what you're doing. You're bringing more love, more healing to the world, so solving more problems, more women in tech, more women entrepreneurs. I'm so proud of you, Lara.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
We'll keep you all informed about CMeShine. I know people are going to go crazy about it because God knows if I had girls, I'd want them to be booked via an app instead of getting an email about a schedule or something.
Right. That's what I want. Yeah.
Thanks, Lara.
You're welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. And before I go, let me give a little shout out to Bravadas who have provided me with this gorgeous wig today. Bet you didn't know. This is a wig. Never doing my hair again. Just saying.
And I want one.
Not spending any more money at the salon. Sorry, guys.
There you go.
Wear a wig. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
So don't forget, if you mention that you have seen the show or listened to the podcast, Technology, 3 months for free.